Okay, what you're going to learn in this tutorial is how to put animation on your player character. And then what you see down below is our opponent character. You'll learn how to put that basic animation on that character as well. This obstacle here is an impassable obstacle. When we move down next to our opponent character, the AI activates, our opponent character starts chasing after us, starts firing at us. You'll learn how to put the sound effects on for when the opponent character chases after your player character. When our player character gets far enough away from our opponent character, then the opponent character stops searching for our player character. 4x64 here. I'm going to click this. I'm going to change this width to 10. And then for this height, I'm going to click here. I'm going to change the height to 5. And then what I'm going to do is click resize. So now we've resized this area right here. And then now with this area resized, what I'm going to do is I'm going to click right here. And then I'm going to make this bolt be orangish color. So I'm going to click here and drag. And then I'm going to go to this paint bucket here. I'm going to left click here. This doesn't have to be changed, by the way. We could leave this name be new object. It's fine. I'm just choosing to rename this bolt. Again, this is an unnecessary thing I'm doing right here. So with this made, I'm going to click save. And then with this here set up, this is fine how everything is here. I'm then going to click apply. So what we're going to do now is we're going to click on our opponent here. We're going to double click, and what we need to do is add a point for our bolt to come out of our opponent character here. So I'm going to click edit points, and then I'm going to scroll down. This is important that these are both blue, that these are both turned on. So share same points for all animations is turned on, as well as share same points for all sprites of this animation. These need to be turned on. So what we have here is right here, as well as right here, are the origin point of this sprite is right here. The center point is right here. What we're going to do is we're going to add a new point. We're going to do that by clicking this plus button to the right. So I'm just going to put an S in front of this. This stands for shooting point. And when I go here, we don't see any point there. What we're going to do is we're going to put in 90 as well as 90. And the only reason we're putting those numbers in is so we can see our point. Okay, so here's our point right here. So I want this point to, and this is our S point, by the way. It's kind of difficult to see. I'm left clicking and dragging this point. In Gdevelop, by the way, your characters, you pretty much want to make them so they especially at top down, that they face to the right. So I'm thinking I want the bolt to come from right around here. So this is where I have this S point that you see here. So here's the S point right here, and our bolt should come from this area here. So with that done, I'm going to click, actually, so this is S capital P point, because we need to know, how this is written out here. I'm going to click close. And then with that done, I'm going to click apply. Okay, so since we have this bolt made, what we want to do is go to new scene and events. And what we want to do is we want our opponent character to shoot. So we can use this, where this condition as well as this action is set up. We can connect our shooting to this. So what we're going to do is we're going to left click here. So we have this blue that goes under our condition as well as our action. We're going to click sub event. So now we have this sub event here that will be connected to what happens here. So this sub event will be dependent upon this condition here. Okay, so what we want to do is we want to make the bolt appear on that S point that we made. So what we're going to do is go to add action. We're going to go to common action for all object. And then we're going to select right here where we see create an object. So we're going to left click here. And then we see create an object at the specified position. So we want to choose the object that's going to appear, right? So what's the object that we want to appear? That's the bolt. So we're going to left click on the bolt. So then we have here this X position here. So what we want is we want this to appear at the opponent. So when we left click here, sometimes you'll see options pop up here, so the option doesn't pop up. So what we're going to do is we're going to click this blue button here. We're going to go to common actions for all. We're going to go to position. We're going to scroll down till we see X position. Now we're going to left click here. We can see the options here. We're going to select opponent. So with that, we're going to click done. And then with that, what we have is we have this code that is written out for us here. So what we want to do now is we want to, okay, yeah, we have the X position. We want the same thing for our Y position here. So we can either copy and paste this, or we can copy this and paste this to here. Well, for this time, since last time we copied and pasted, we'll go back in. It can be either or. So we'll click here. We'll go to common expressions for all objects. We'll go to position. We'll go to this time Y position. We'll click here, select opponent, and then we'll click done. Okay, so we have the X position as well as the Y position. So we do need something else, and what we need is this point here. We need to put this in these parentheses right here. So what we're going to do is we're going to put quotation. The reason why we put quotation is because this is something that we came up with. We named our thing S point. So we're going to put in S, capital P, point, and then quotation. We're going to do the same thing here. Quotation, S, capital P, put in the rest of point. So it says S point, quotation. So we have our opponent dot X, and these are both capitals, by the way. Quotations, S point here, as well as right here. So this is good with both of these settings being set here. So then we'll click OK. Okay, what we need to do now is set things up so that the angle of our bolt changes with the angle of our opponent. So we'll do that now. So we'll click add action. We'll go to common action for all objects. We'll scroll down till we see angle. We'll then select angle again. We'll select bolt. So we're saying change the angle of the rotation of an object. That object is bolt. We'll click equals to. And then when we click here, we won't see an option. So what we're going to do is go to the blue button. We're going to scroll all the way up. We're going to go to common expressions for all objects. We're going to select angle again. We'll click here, and then we're going to select opponent. Then we're going to select done. So with all of that done, you'll see this. I click here. We don't see that anymore. I was talking about those red letters. I'm going to click OK. So now we are set up. So this is going to make it so that when our opponent is aiming in a direction, the angle will also aim, the angle of the bolt will be that same angle of the opponent. So that's how the opponent can move. And then with this next action that we're going to add, the bolt will actually shoot in the direction that the opponent is aiming. Okay, so now we need to have it so the bolt actually shoots. The way we're going to do that is we're going to add a force to the bolt. So we're going to click here. We're going to go to common action for all objects. We're going to go to movement. We're going to select add a force angle. We're going to left click on that. And we see this says add a force to the object. The object will move according to all the forces it has. This action creates the force using the specified angle and length. So the object that we want to move is the bolt. So we're going to select bolt. Where we have this angle, we're going to click here. We're going to scroll up. We're going to select common expressions for all objects. We're going to select angle